Lunalights is one of the most underrated decks in the NR event. A lot of people feel like you need Lunalight Tiger to spam the board, or you need Lunalight Leo Dancer or Panther Dancer to OTK. And to that I say, Lunalight Cat Dancer is a pretty good card. Like, if you look at the card right now, the card is pretty insane. It's pretty much the same thing as Panther Dancer, but you need to tribute one Lunalight monster to attack over all your opponent's monsters twice. And in combination with the cards that is on the screen, which is the Blue Cat and the Crimson Fox, it makes OTKing a lot easier because you have the Crimson Fox that can lower an opponent's monster's attack to 0, and you have the Blue Cat that can double the attack of your monsters. So these two cards allow you to OTK pretty easily. And with a lot of the utility cards like the Perfume, the Black Sheep, the White Rabbit, the Emerald Bird, the Yellow Martin, you have every single good Lunalight main deck monster. The only card you're missing in the main deck is the Lunalight Fusion, which is not really necessary, but it is really good obviously. But you don't really need that card to OTK, especially in this deck that has a lot of its arsenal. So we're going to be going against the tier 1 metal foes in our deck. This deck is like pretty powerful because it pretty much has everything in its arsenal as well. So we're going to be going against this deck, and I'm going to show you how you're going to be destroying this deck in a lot of other decks. So let's get on to the replay. I have a pretty strong hand. As I said, like, you just draw all of these really good Lunalight monsters and you just have so much fuel to OTK with. So he's going to set the Lunalight counter, or not the Lunalight counter, the Metal Foes counter, and then he's going to Pendulum Summon 2 and go into the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Now this card is going to be a problem because if you read the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, it's going to be able to negate an attack by detaching one material. And when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon Odd Eyes from your extra deck, which would be the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. That is a problem because not only does the card negate an attack, but if it floats into another monster and he puts it in defense position, I'm not going to be able to OTK. So if you don't see the line here, there's a pretty obvious OTK line here. And you might be wondering, what is that OTK line, Salza? What is that OTK line? Well, I'm going to show you right here. So we're going to be playing around not only the effect that negates, but the effect that floats, which is pretty strong. I draw into another Crimson Fox, which doesn't really matter. I still had OTK on board, even if I didn't have the 6 draw. I'm going to use the effect of White Rabbit. Now, White Rabbit is one of the most amazing cards in the Lunalight strategy because not only does it get another body on board, but it allows you to bounce back row. So you don't need to rely on something like MST or any of these other back row removal cards to kind of get rid of your opponent's back row. This card is just very strong in and of itself because it baits out a back row on its own, because it summons a Lunalight monster from the graveyard, which can be pretty problematic, and as well as the effect that can bounce a opponent's Spell Trap card with the effect. So this card is like very good, and you're going to see why this card is very important in this combo as well. So you're going to summon back the Black Sheep, and then you're going to use the effect to return the back row, and then you're going to go into the Cursed Javelin. And as I said before, the most important way to OTK in this deck is to either lower the attack to 0 or double the attack of your own monster. Now, you know, in the Lunalight archetype, you have Crimson Fox that can lower the attack, but you also have the effect of the Phantom Knight's Cursed Javelin that can also lower your opponent's attack to 0 and negate the effect. So this is a perfect combination of cards to counter this strategy. So I'm going to use the effect. I'm going to negate the effect of the Absolute Dragon, and then I'm going to negate the effect, and then I'm going to go into the Lunalight Cat Dancer, and then I'm going to use the effect of the Perfume to summon back the Blue Cat, and that is going to double the attack of the Cat Dancer, which is going to tribute off the Lunalight Blue Cat. And then obviously from this point on, it's just OTK because I just attacked twice with the Lunalight Cat Dancer, and that is pretty much over 8,000, which is a game. So I'm going to attack over twice, and at this point I just win. So this is just showcasing how easily you can just OTK your opponent if they just cluelessly leave their monster in attack position. So let's go on to the next replay. All right, for the next replay, I'm going to be going up against the True Draco deck, as he has 0 cards in his extra deck. So I'm going to be very scared of the Monarch's Erupt, because that's going to stop me from OTKing. But hopefully he just doesn't, or I draw the MST. So let's move on to the replay. I have a pretty decent hand. It's not that good, but yeah. So he tributes off a continuous trap card to summon out the Majesty Maiden, and he passes his turn by setting 2 cards. And now I draw into a train, and I'm just gonna pass my turn. There's no need to go off. I have 3 battle fader type effects, so I'm gonna be able to stop any attacks he's gonna go for. And now he's gonna attack with the Majesty Maiden, and I'm gonna use the effect of the battle fader so I can stop the attack and end the battle phase. He's gonna use the effect of the Majesty Maiden to add the Dry Up the Third, which is gonna be very good for tribute fodder for next turn, or not tribute fodder, for a tribute monster for next turn. He could tribute off the heritage. So I'm gonna draw into a Perfume. Now my thought process is, if that back row is a bluff, then I can potentially OTK. And I was kind of contemplating seeing if, you know, maybe I can OTK, and if not, maybe, you know, I can remove both his monsters off the field, but at the cost of him adding 2 cards with the Ignis Heat in the Majesty Maiden. And because I read that he might have had more dead cards because he tributed off 2 of the Zinzenhu replicas, I was like, there's a slight chance that that could be a bluff. So I was like, there's not a better opportunity than now, because if I wait, then he's gonna eventually draw into a trap card. So I'm just gonna go in. Hopefully that back row is a bluff and I can OTK, because there's a very obvious OTK line if you've played Lunalights for a while. So I'm gonna go for the polymerization, and then I'm gonna use the effect of the Perfume. I'm not gonna normal summon the White Rabbit to summon it, because it's very important, because I want to leave the or I want to get the Perfume in the graveyard so I can use the effect to add a certain card. So I'm gonna use the effect of the Perfume to summon out the Black Sheep. And now I'm going to go into the Geonoted Transverser, because he left his monster in the wrong zone, so I'm going to punish him for it. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Perfume to ditch the train, and then I'm going to get to the Blue Cat. Now this is one of the key cards that is going to allow me to OTK. And yeah, so I'm going to normal summon the White Rabbit, and then I'm going to use the effect of the White Rabbit to summon out the Black Sheep. And then I use the effect of the White Rabbit to return the back row, and it was pretty much a bluff at that point. He didn't activate it, so I assumed that it was a bluff. And then I use the effect of the Geonator Transverser to change the positions of the monsters on the side of the field. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Polymerization to fuse into the Cat Dancer. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Perfume to revive back the Blue Cat, and then Blue Cat is going to double the attack of the Cat Dancer. If you don't see the obvious OTK line here, it's pretty obvious. You're just going to use the effect of the Blue Cat. It's going to double the attack of the Cat Dancer, and then the Cat Dancer is going to attack over the White Rabbit twice, and that's pretty much going to be GG. So I'm going to do exactly that, and yeah, it's just pretty much a wrap. Like, this attack alone between the Cat Dancer and the White Rabbit is going to be enough for game, and I still had more monsters to attack with if I wanted to. So moving on to the last and final replay. All right, for the last and final replay, this is going to showcase how explosive Lunalights can be, especially on turn 2 when you go second. And yeah, let's go on to the replay. So he's going to be normal summoning out the 10 goldfish to summon out the gadget. He's going to be playing the gadget infinite track deck, whatever you call it. And he's going to go into the Crab King, and then he's going to set 1 card and pass his turn after detaching a material from the Diamond Crab King. So I'm going to draw a card, and I draw into a Perfume. Now, this is probably just one of the best hands in Lunalights you can have, because you have double Perfume. You have the Black Sheep to get a Lunalight in the graveyard, so you can use the effect of the Perfume. And then you have really good discard fodder in the Serenade Dance. So I'm trying to go for the big OTK line here, and he only has 1 set card, so I'm not really scared, because if anything, I can use White Rabbit to bait it out and then go for the OTK. So let's see what I do. I use the effect of the Black Sheep. That's going to add the Polymerization from my deck to my hand, And then I'm going to use the effect of the Perfume. Perfume is going to summon out the Black Sheep. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Perfume, discarding the Serenade Dance to get to the White Rabbit. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Serenade Dance to send the Jar of Greed to the graveyard. And then I'm going to link summon into the Pentastack. Now you're probably going to be wondering, why did I make Pentastack? Well, this card says if you are linked to a monster, that link monster, or the monster you're pointing to, is going to have piercing damage. So I'm going to be able to pierce over any of his defense position monsters, which is most likely going to be his Go Gadget, and that is going to allow me to OTK. So this is very, very important to make. You need this card in your deck, especially for decks that summon a lot of monsters in defense position. As you see in this case, I'm going to be able to OTK. So there's a very obvious OTK line. I'm going to use the effect of the White Rabbit. White Rabbit is going to summon out the Black Sheep. And then I'm going to use the effect of the White Rabbit to return his only back row. And he's going to use the Book of Moon, which doesn't really make too big of a difference. You're just going to be able to use the effect of Poly anyways to send the face down card to the graveyard. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go into the Cat Dancer, and it's going to be pointing, or it's going to be summoned to the arrow so I can have the piercing. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Black Sheep. Black Sheep is going to add back the White Rabbit in case I just don't OTK if he has something weird like the train signal. And then I'm going to use the effect of Perfume to summon it back the Blue Cat. Then Blue Cat is going to double the attack of the Cat Dancer. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Cat Dancer, tripping off the Blue Cat. And that is going to allow me to OTK. As you've seen last time, there is a attack position monster with 800 attack. This is pretty much the same because I have the piercing and my opponent's scoop. So this is showcasing how strong the Lunalight deck can be. Obviously, it's not going to be as explosive as I showed in these replays. Sometimes you're going to have just the Lunalight Reincarnation Dance and like a Blue Cat maybe to set and pass, or you have a Battle Fader or the Train Signal to kind of stall out your opponent, and have cards like the Jar of Greed and the Legacy of the Yugioh to kind of get to your combo pieces so you can OTK. So I'm going to be showcasing off the deck profile that I updated before I end off this video. So this is the updated profile. I think the big changes that I made to the deck is the draw package, which is the Jar of Greed and the Legacy of the Yugioh. I think the main thing I was thinking about when taking out the MSTs and the Chalice, and I think I had Book of Moon or Chalice, which one of those cards, I took them out for the draw spells because I could play more copies of the White Rabbit. You can also play 3 copies if you really wanted to, but I think it's a little bit bricky to play 2, and you have searchable ways to get to it, like with the Reincarnation Dance if you really wanted to, or with the Blue Cat, you could just summon it and then use the effect of Yellow Martin to bounce it back to the hand. So there's plenty of ways. You also have the Perfume that can also add it, or use the effect of the Serenade Dance to discard and then, special summon out the White Rabbit and then use the effect of Yellow Martin to add it to your hand. So there's multiple ways to get to your White Rabbit so you can return back row. So I felt like I prioritize the consistency over trying to play like utility cards. Like there's not many trap decks in the format. Like even the trap cards, you can negate some of them with the Crimson Fox. The main cards I'm really scared of is something like Torrential Tribute that can be very scary, or like the Battle Trap that can be very scary. So mainly White Rabbit is going to be dealing with all of those cards. So the other cards that I changed is that I play the Train Signal in the Battle Fader over the Speed Red Menko. The main reason why is Speed Red Menko is very bad because, as I realized, is the card specimens itself in attack position. So against link monsters, they can just attack over and do damage anyway. So I figured like Battle Fader is better, Train Signal is better, and if they do destroy it next turn or the following turn, they can just trigger my effect of my Lunalight Reincarnation Dance and get me 2 cards to my hand instead of just using the effect of the Speed Red Menko and just taking damage. So I just figured that these 2 cards are just better anyways. So I switched out those 2, and then for the extra deck, I think I only added the Pentastack, and I took out another card that didn't really matter. I think it was the Black Ship of Corn. That card doesn't really matter. This card is very, very important for your deck, so you should be playing this deck in your Lunalight strategy, any OTK strategy, because it allows you to OTK do defense position monsters. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know that Lunalights is one of my favorite decks to talk about because I played this deck for almost 6 years. It's been like pretty much like after April, I think April like 16 or something like that. It's something in April, like it's gonna be 6 years that I've been playing this deck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I've rambled on long enough, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.